I think I'm a bad student. I have a bad memory and I can't learn anything. I have a poor memory and I can't memorize anything. Have you ever said any of these phrases? If yes, then this video is for you because I'm gonna share some techniques that you can use to learn and memorize new information. Hey guys, how you doing? Today we are talking about memory and the ways to memorize new information. If you watched my previous video, you might remember that I showed you the learning pyramid, which illustrates how much of what a person has learned he or she can recall. So today I decided to continue the topic of recalling and memorization, and I'm gonna share some useful strategies with you. Let's start with the forgetting curve. It depicts the rate at which information is forgotten if we don't revise it. So basically, learners will rapidly forget new information in a matter of days or weeks unless they review it. Some studies suggest that humans forget approximately 50% of new information within an hour and 70% within 24 hours. Now, you can draw a logical conclusion that you should revise new information to be able to recall it. And that's correct, but how? This is where spaced repetition comes in. And let me explain to you how it works. So let's suppose that you don't know the capital of Italy. And let's suppose that right now I tell you the capital of Italy is Rome. Now, let's assume that your memory is such that you'll be able to retain this fact for 20 minutes. And then let's imagine that at 19 minutes, 59 seconds, while we're having a cup of coffee, I remind you again, the capital of Italy is Rome. Now, according to the spaced repetition theory, you will be able to retain this fact for, let's say, 40 minutes. And again, if at 39 minutes and 59 seconds I remind you the capital of Italy is Rome, you will be able to retain this fact for a longer period of time. Now imagine that we continue to proceed in this manner where I keep reminding you this information at the moment you're about to forget it. Then the time between memory lapses grows from hours to days, from days to weeks, then to months, and then to years. Depending on your forgetting curve, you can determine the optimal interval to remind yourself of the new information. And at this moment, you might be asking, but how can I know this precise moment I'm about to forget something? Or how can I determine my optimal interval? Well, the good news is there is some software you can use, like Anki and SuperMemo, where you can create flashcards with new information you want to learn, and then this software tracks your progress with each card and determines your forgetting curve for each and every card. Anyway, I'm sure you've heard of this software and maybe you use some apps, and if you did, then leave the comment below and tell us about your experience. And if you have never used them, then I recommend trying and you'll see how effective they can be. But if you use them and your experience was negative, or if you don't want to use any software, then keep watching this video because I want to explain how you can use spaced repetition in a different way. So, first of all, let me explain the 3 steps you have to take. Number 1, you have to decide what you want to learn. And then number 2, you have to decide how you want to learn it. And number 3, you have to use a good dose of spaced repetition. So, let's take a look at these steps in detail. Number 1, what do you want to learn? At this stage, you have to decide what you want to learn, and ideally it should be something that gives you a hard time. For example, it can be some vocabulary that you keep forgetting or some grammatical constructions that you find difficult. Then number two, you have to decide how you want to practice them. For example, if I want to learn some new words, I might want to make some sentences with them. Or if I want to learn a grammatical construction, again, I'll try to use it and make some meaningful sentences. And number three, you have to apply spaced repetition. So now I know what I want to learn and how I want to learn it, so it's time to add spaced repetition. And we'll use a simple schedule. After the initial use on day 1, we'll do the same on day 2, 7, 30, and 90. But remember, if you're using words to make sentences, your sentences should change. It's not about repeating the same sentences you came up with on the first day, but to use these words and grammatical structures in a more spontaneous way. And to make this process easier, you can use Google Calendar and set reminders on specific days you need to revise and to use the words again. And well, this whole process can seem very simple, and it is simple. But if you start doing it and follow your schedule, you'll see how effective it is. So guys, I hope you learned something new today, and if you want to remember this information, then it's time to start using my strategies. So, watch this video again, take notes, then tell your friend or colleague about spaced repetition, and then don't forget to revise your notes. And I'm sure you remember this information for a long time. And if you have something else to add, then leave your comments below. And if you like this video, then give it a thumb up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it yet. And stay tuned for my next video, because I want to continue this topic of memory and memorization, and I want to share some more techniques that you can use when learning a foreign language. So thanks for watching my video, stay tuned and see you soon. Bye!